Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and it's finally time to talk about Thrones of Decay. This is the brand new DLC for Total War Warhammer 3 that has just been announced. Well, right now if Creative Assembly have actually posted all their stuff properly. But yeah, this is a big DLC and there's lots to talk about. So this video is going to go over everything that you need to know about Thrones of Decay. We're going to go over all the stuff on the blogs and the press releases first, and then we'll do a step-by-step breakdown of the trailer so we can see how all these brand new units look. But you can see that, yeah, I was kind of right in a speculation a while ago. Elsef von Draken for the Empire, Tamurkhan for Nurgle, and Malachi Makason for the Dwarfs. And soon enough I'll be able to tell you my exact schedule for early access content, what I plan to release, and all the usual things. But yeah, let's begin with all the information that you need to know. So the content in this DLC is as follows. 3 new legendary lords. The first being Tamurkhan the Maggot Lord, which will be able to be the ultimate warlord of Nurgle. Then you can embrace magic and gunpowder and the Imperial Gunnery School with Elsef von Draken, and test out your innovations with Malachi Makason. Alongside your legendary lords, there are 3 new legendary heroes, 15 new units, 3 new generic lords, 3 new generic heroes, and a further 9 regiments of renown. There's also a FLC legendary lord, which we'll talk about later in this video. Let's start talking about all the individual factions. The first is Elsef von Draken, the dragon-riding magistrix of the Empire. The Dark Lady of Null, Elsef von Draken is one of the most powerful amethyst wizards of the age. It is said that she is so suffused with magical power that she stands on the periphery of life and death. When it comes to campaign features, these would be your campaign mechanics, we have the following. The Imperial Gunnery School. As the Armory of the Empire, Wissenland and Null offer special unit upgrades and powerful abilities in return for schematics earned from the damage such units inflict on the battlefield. Next we have the Gardens of Moor. A vigilant protector of the Empire, Elsef establishes these sacred sites in limited number across visible, friendly, or neutral Empire settlements, providing instant travel to those locations at a cost and with a cooldown. So yeah, a little bit of an internal teleport system. Next, we've got the battle playstyle. Riding her powerful Carmine Dragon, Elsef is deadly in every sense of the word. She manipulates the battlefield from range with her innate magical abilities from the Lore of Death, before charging into the enemy ranks with her dragon and two-handed pale scythe. But I think this is what most people are excited for, some new units. So, the Empire has quite a few interesting ones. The Marienburg Landship, the steam tank with an attached volley gun. So yeah, a new type of steam tank going back into I think 5th edition is when they did that in Games Workshop. The Null Ironsides, Hochland Long Rifles, and finally the Knights of the Black Rose. Yes, another knightly order. It's about time that we're starting to see more. When it comes to the generic lord and hero choices, we have the Master Engineer and the Engineer too. Obviously that makes sense considering that this is going to be a gunpowder focused DLC, so you're going to want to have engineers alongside that. And finally, for your legendary hero for the Empire, we have Theodore Bruckner, one of the biggest lads in the Empire. We're going to be able to see him in the trailer when we talk about it in just a little bit. Next we got Tamurkhan the Maggot Lord, a sentient maggot within the rot-bloated corpse of a powerful ogre tyrant. Tamurkhan is one of the greatest ever champions of Nurgle. He has but one aim, to spread death and disease in the name of the Lord of Pestilence. So campaign features are as follows. Tamurkhan's Chieftains. Tamurkhan must amass an unstoppable warhorse that will bring ruin to the world. As such, he embarks on a deadly journey to dominate and recruit powerful warlords from across the Chaos and Norscan tribes to increase the power of his faction. Those of you who are aware with Tamurkhan's story will know that, well, this is actually a mirror of when he's building up his forces before invading Null itself. Battle playstyle, besieging the battlefield atop his mighty toad dragon and wielding a mighty two-headed axe, Tamurkhan is a tank of a warrior who is deadly in combat. His Feast of the Maggot Lord ability triggers upon death, dealing life-sapping damage upon the enemy to keep him in the thick of the battle a little longer. When it comes to the new units added in, we've got Kha'Zix the Befouled as a legendary hero, a very, very cool character from the Throne of Chaos book, so it makes sense to include him here. For generic lords and heroes, we have the Chaos Lord of Nurgle and the Chaos Sorcerer of Nurgle, meaning that we finally have all variants for the generic lords and heroes for the Nurgle faction. And then for the units, we have Plague Ogres, Rot Knights, which never had a model back in the day, by the way, so it's really nice to see that coming into effect. Toad Dragons will be introduced not only as a mount for Tamurkhan, but also as a massive monster, Pestigores, and finally Bile Trolls. So essentially we've gotten pretty much the remaining stuff from the Throne of Chaos book on the Nurgle side, which is really, really cool. And lastly, I called it Malachi Macason, the Slayer Engineer. A defiant mix of brain and brawn, Malachi Macason was once a member of the Legendary Engineers Guild before disaster saw him ejected. Eternally shamed, he took up the Slayer's Oath with the sole aim of seeking redemption through dignified and bloody death. Campaign features are as follows. The Spirit of Grungi. Malachi's armies march beneath the airborne machine known as the Spirit of Grungi, a legendary airship that the Slayer Engineer can upgrade on the move to increase his battle prowess and even call upon battle. Malachi's adventures. As he seeks the glorious doom that all Slayers desire, Malachi Macason uses his deadly exploits to test and improve his latest engineering innovations in the most perilous battles he can instigate. When it comes to the battle playstyle, we have the following. Malachi primarily serves the dwarfs as a ranged support lord, tossing explosives towards the enemy with the Cinder Blast cluster bomb, blasting them to bits with his shotgun, and, if anyone gets too close for comfort, smacking them in the face with a massive spanner. Now let's talk about the new units. So, funny enough, a few months ago I predicted as a meme that we might get a Slayer-focused DLC, and that the legendary hero would in fact be Garagrim Iron Fist if they wanted to keep the theme going. And yep, I was right. I'm actually quite excited. For those of you who don't know, Garagrim Iron Fist is actually Ungrim's son, another Slayer, and more so of a Doom Seeker than anything else. When we go into the Lords and Heroes, generic Lords we have Demon Slayers, and generic Heroes we have Dragon Slayers. Yep, this is a pretty big Slayer focus. And then when we start going into the units, we pretty much get the 6th edition Slayer holds. Doom Seekers, Goblin Hewers, Thunder Bargers, Grudge Raker Thunderers, which was actually a very big surprise, and finally Slayer Pirates. So yeah, we've got some range guys. It looks like a lot of my speculation from that little meme one a while back was right. Weird. Though I tell you this, I'm pretty excited because big fan of Slayers, very, very big fan of Slayers. The fact that I kind of guessed that they were going to do some cross-promotion with Warhammer the Old World kind of made sense too. We're getting the Slayers back there with a Slayer hold, and now we're getting Slayer holds here. It's going to be useful for your Malachi campaign, obviously, if you decide to purchase Malachi, but also if you want a fully themed Ungrim playthrough. Oh, for those wondering, the Thunderers themselves, the Grudge Rakers, those are pretty much shotgun troopers, so very similar to the blunderbusses as the Chaos Dwarfs, meaning that you got some short range punch and a lot of melee, Now, we do have a little bit more information here of the free content that's coming. Alongside Thrones of Decay is patch 5.0, which contains an assortment of free content, quality of life improvements, and bug fixes. These include a yet-to-be-revealed Legendary Lord, we're going to reveal him in like 20 seconds, a new hero unit, a new campaign feature in the form of the Nemesis Crown, and campaign updates for the Empire, Dwarfs, and Nurgle. I have been told by Creative Assembly that these are substantial campaign updates, not like those in Shadows of Change. Also, I don't know why they're saying yet to be revealed Legendary Lord when the info pack literally gives us the Legendary Lord, and they actually told us that we can use the cutout. So yes, Epidemius is the brand new FLC Legendary Lord. The Tallyman of Nurgle is going to be the one that you just need to get into Total War access for. So if you've already got like Ulrika and stuff like that, yep, you will have him as soon as the patch drops. I will warn you in advance though that sometimes when the patch drops you might not have him, you just have to re-verify your files, and that works perfectly fine. It's just something that needs to be said because yeah, this does mean that we will have 3 different Legendary Lords for Nurgle. We've got Kugath from launch, Tamurkhan for Thrones of Decay, and you will have Epidemius regardless or not if you decide to purchase the Thrones of Decay DLC. This is quite good, considering that obviously Shadows of Change brought us in the Changeling, but didn't give us another character for Tzeentch, unfortunately. But it does give me some hope for the future stuff. Then we'll hopefully see more new monogod lords introduced for free to kind of flush out the rosters a little bit. Ultimately, it looks like it's going to be a quite interesting DLC pack. A lot of units are being introduced to kind of fill out the rosters for everyone. Obviously, we have to keep in mind that the Pestigors will naturally move towards the Beastmen, and I imagine that Bile Trolls, Toad Dragons, and Rot Knights will also be usable by the Warriors of Chaos, meaning that you're going to get a little bit more bang for your buck if you play Undivided, or if you just really like playing as Festus. Now, naturally, we're going to have to wait and see, especially as it comes to, showcases by Creative Assembly and eventually myself, which again I'll share my plans a little bit down the line, but yeah, I mean, I'm fairly excited from what I've seen so far. Now, before anything, what I'm going to do is we're going to check the trailer out, stop at anything of interest, and just kind of have a bit of a discussion regarding that. You see, I recorded this earlier on. I normally put that at the beginning of the video, but I imagine a lot of you prefer the information first and then that, so we're going to try it this way, as I think getting the information out early is better than me swooning over everything and then going after the information, right? I recorded this reaction a little bit earlier, so yeah, let's just jump right in. Oh, she looks fantastic. It's very obvious that there's something about when you get one of these really old school Forge World models and turn them into a digitalized version, for a video game, and yet it still looks true to form. You get all these little details there, like obviously her saddle needs to look very special. There's ancient books there. There's all these details to show you that she is an amethyst wizard and that she knows a little bit about necromancy too. Admittedly, her dragon doesn't look great. We saw her in the previous frames, but Elseth, as a character, she looks phenomenal. And here we have Theodore Bruckner. This is the legendary hero for the Empire. Very, very cool. Looks like his model, again, his mount doesn't too much because if you remember the old school miniature, the mount was kind of like a roided up, featherless in certain places demigryph. I prefer this, in all honesty. It's a little bit more natural, though I have been told by Creative Assembly staff that Bruckner's demigryph is fairly larger compared to the others, which makes sense because he's supposed to be a really big dude in lore too. So this really does look cool. His design is awesome. I'm a big fan of Bruckner, and it makes perfect sense to include him, obviously, as Elseth needs a little bit of help, I guess. It's one of these things, and we'll talk about it a little bit later, but this trailer is going after the whole Thrones of Chaos vibe. Alright, this is actually really exciting. So we can see the Ironsides there, you can see the gun, and it does look like he's got repeaters. Ooh, very, very cool. So this is a bit of a design change because they never had repeaters back in the day. It was actually just like heavily armored handgunners. So if they're giving them repeaters, that's going to change things up quite heavily. I know some people were really complaining about the idea of just having heavily armored handgunners, which obviously makes a lot of sense, but yeah, this is great. This is awesome. For those not aware, repeater handgunners basically just shoot a little bit faster. They're not going to have the best range, so probably a bit shorter, but they're just going to be able to fire not as quickly as a rattling gun, obviously, but they'll definitely fire faster than typical handgunners, and that should make it a lot better, especially if you're a big gunpowder fan, for Gelt and all that. Oh, thank God. Okay, so Plague Ogres, as you can see here, have mutations. They've got horns and stuff, and it does look like there's a little bit of rot. Yeah, you can see also on the shoulder some pus and so on. That's great. Okay, I was really worried that it was just going to be an ogre painted green, but no, this is much better. It's mutated. It's true to the theme. They're supposed to be not, Chaos Ogres of Nurgle, but Plague Ogres. This is a very different distinction. I know it might not sound like a lot when it comes to the name, but definitely so happy about this. Bruh, the engineer has so many guns. In a perfect world, he'd be able to use it, but I imagine it's just going to be the long rifle, which is perfectly fine. Yeah, I mean, it's hotter than long rifle. I'm really happy though. Looks like the miniature too. Well, one of the miniatures. There were a few for the engineers too. And you could kit bash your own when it came to the kits for the Hellblasters and so on. So it's kind of cool to see. I mean, a lot of stuff is coming. A lot of stuff is coming. Oh my god. Oh my god. I'm so impressed. I mean, this is an iconic miniature, right? The Throne of Chaos was one of the best books that Games Workshop ever released, and Tamurkhan was the front and center for that. And with Bubulos too, it's so big. I know full well enough that I should be used to this feeling already, especially that, you know, we're close to like 100 legendary lords in game. But when it's a character that I've been waiting for a long, long time, yeah, this one's cool. I will complain about one thing. It's kind of annoying that CA does these trailers where the frames go too quickly for certain things. Like, for example, those, I assume, are the Rot Knights. The shape is way too different to be a Chaos Knight, and I really wanted to get a good look at them. I guess we'll see them soon. It's just annoying because, yeah, man, they never had a model before. Alright, we got a really good look at Malachi, who looks phenomenal. And some Doomseekers too. I think those are the Doomseekers at the very least. Interestingly enough, in a few frames, you can see Gotrek and Felix just in the distance. So maybe they're getting some sort of update. What's really interesting about this is a full Slayer update. I wasn't really expecting... Like, I was memeing Slayer DLC, right? This is actually pretty impressive. It pretty much fills up a big chunk that was missing from the Dwarfs. I know a lot of people weren't too keen on this, but think about it this way, right? You've got a full culture that you can play around with, and now that you've got an army's worth of stuff, hopefully the buildings allow for you to be able to build them early on, you're going to be able to have like full Slayer armies, full unbreakable Slayer armies. Good freaking lord, the Thunder Barge. So for context, a lot of people were hyped up for the potential of this, mostly because you had rules for it. There was no model. You basically got told, hey, if you want to take a Thunder Barge in the tabletop, build one. It's freaking huge. And there's so much detail to it. I asked the dev, by the way, this is why I stopped in this frame specifically. See that little bar there, right? Where like in the hull, I guess? Or bridge, I'm not too sure what. I'm not a nautical person. But, yeah, you're going to be seeing dwarfs just casually drinking as you're playing through your battle. I was like, that's... that's hilarious. That's awesome. One of my all-time favorite miniatures ever, like seriously ever, and I'm so glad it's coming back for Old World because I have two and I wanted to get more, but they're stupid expensive on eBay. The Goblin Hewer, look at that. It's an artillery piece, which I know some people are going to say, well, you know, you've got cannons, you've got organ guns, yeah, but now you've got something that literally throws axes, man, like... Oh, God. That's so cool. Oh, it's so nice to see really, really iconic old-school things getting the limelight again. Whether it's in this or in Old World, it's just nice. So many Slayers, man. I don't know why the trailers are less frames, but it seems because it's recorded in-game for cinematic purposes. Maybe it's just less, because CA for some reason do 30 frames for gameplay or in-game cinematics. But yeah, here we can see Kha'Zix the Befouled on the left, and then Epidemius on the right. Epidemius obviously looking a little bit generic because, you know, he's a herald. But the difference is that he's going to be stylized a little bit different. Kha'Zix looks great. It just sucks that the screenshot is bad. But yeah, I mean, it's cool. It's cool. We're getting loads and loads of different monsters, and just in general, there's so much. I know what people are going to say, well, it's comparable to Shadows of Change. It's like, yeah, it's comparable to Shadows of Change now, which is a very important thing. Alright, I'm going to outright say it. This trailer makes me feel awful, right? And that's because most of the stuff that's being introduced in this DLC is stuff that I haven't actually finished painting yet, including my landship. Oh god, this looks great. Yeah, I mean, oh my god, I'm a big fan of the landship. I really need to finish painting mine at some point. It's mostly done, but like I've been painting stuff for Old World. We don't know if this is ever going to get like Old World rules, so I don't see the point of finishing something that I'm not going to be using. Oh, but like, oh my god. I've got to sort it out. Before this year ends, I need to sort out my landship. I think that's the end game for me. I need to sort it out. Alright, so I must admit, I was very, very pleasantly surprised with the trailer. Some people might be saying, well, there's no narrative, because, you know, sometimes there's underlying narrative to the trailers and so on, but there actually is. It's following the Siege of Null, and it's showing the climactic battle that happens. It's just pretty much playing onto people's nostalgia, and I'm all for it. It's really cool to see such a narrative-driven trailer for essentially what was the best book that Games Workshop ever released as a campaign, and it really sucks that the campaign was never finished because the 3 other books were never finished. But yeah, I am pleasantly surprised. I am very, very happy with what's being shown. Obviously not everything's being shown, or I've probably missed it because the frames, this just seemed less. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but yeah, love seeing everything what I saw. I'm cautiously optimistic about this DLC, I must admit. Obviously, we're going to have to wait and see, and obviously, at this point, you know, surprise, surprise, I don't know when this video is coming out, so it might be by the time that I've been starting to play, it might not be, but I'll keep you updated with, well, pretty much any information that I do here, and when I get told I can start dropping content, or recording content, better yet said, I shall do so, and yeah, it should be interesting. Let's hope, and I'm saying this in the most optimistic but also cautious way possible. I really hope this is the start of the redemption arc that we were all kind of hoping for, because I love this game and I know that a lot of you guys do too. So yeah, I mean, time will tell. But this needs to be truly, truly special. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let's start a bit of a discussion, and yeah, I'll see you all again very, very soon. Have a good day.